What's going on, everybody? Today we're talking hood clearance. So this comes in handy if you are like me thinking about switching intakes. Right now I have a Torker 383, which is a good single plane intake, but in fact they don't even make it anymore. But I'm looking at potentially going to an Edelbrock Performer RPM. Read a couple of good things on it. Probably going to, on this stroker engine, it's a 496 stroker. It is going to lower the RPM range a little bit. You're probably talking 1500 to 5400, 5500 RPM, which that's pretty normal. That's what I drive in anyways. But it would bump up the horsepower and the torque somewhat. It's arguably, based upon articles I've read, anywhere from 10 or 15 up to maybe 20. But I'm probably conservatively about 15 horsepower and torque. But I need to find out if this thing fits first. So we are talking hood clearance and how to measure it. You can always kind of come down here and use your eyeball and see, what kind of hood clearance you have and try to measure it off. But again, you're just kind of estimating. But one of your best friends to measure hood clearances is Play-Doh. So what I do is I take Play-Doh and I build it up on certain points on the air cleaner and measure it out. Close the hood and see what happens when the Play-Doh is kind of squished down and what kind of hood clearance you have. Again, it is important to hit different points on the air cleaner. I usually do the front and sides and back. You can do a couple of different points on the back, but at minimum, do front, back, and sides because that makes a big difference. Usually the back is shorter. You have less hood clearance on the back of the engine just because the slope of that hood, etc. So let's get going. All right, now I've used all the Play-Doh I have to pick 3 points on the air cleaner, the front, one of the sides, and the back. I'll do the other side here in a minute. But you can see that's roughly 3.5 inches high, and that one's about 3.5 as well. So they're all about 3.5. We're going to go ahead and close down the hood again gently and see what happens this time. This should give us a pretty good idea. Again, 1 click, 2 clicks, hood's completely closed. Go ahead and pop it open. All right, now we got a little bit more action on to measure how tall these are. So I'll get my trusty tape measure ready, and we are looking about 2.5 inches or so. That's kind of rough estimate. That one fell off. This one, yeah, it's about 2.5 inches or so. So what I might do is build it up to 3 inches and see, just to get a little more accurate measurement. Right, this time I have 2 in the back to make sure we get a good measurement. And then 1 on the passenger side. So the backs are just under 3 is what it looks like. Maybe 2.5 on that one. On the passenger side is about 2, it's a little over 2.5. So we'll see what happens on this try. Closing gently down. 2 clicks. All right, let's see what happened with these. Going in for a measurement on the side first. We are just, it's almost 2.5. This back is also 2.5, maybe a little bit over. This one is way down actually. If you look at that, that's only 2 inches, maybe a little over 2 inches. So that back corner is the lowest part. 2.5 in the front and just over 2 in the back. So that's the minimum you go with. You have about 2 inches of hood clearance on a 3D3. So now that you have the hood clearance measurements, I am looking at the 2 different intakes. The first one is the Torker 3D3, which, like I mentioned, they don't even make anymore. So it's hard to find the specs on it. On the Edelbrock site, they don't even list it. So I found it on Summit. And it only has one measurement, which I believe is the carb pad, and that is 4.17 inches high. So that's what we're going to use for the Torker. And then the Performer RPM, of course, they still make that. It's readily available. They have 3 specs, 3 spec measurements on the Edelbrock site. I believe A is the front, B is the back, and then again the pad, the carb pad height. So A is 4.90, B is 5.80, and the pad is 5.35. So if we come back and take a look at these measurements and write some down, the pad, if you just subtract, it's 1.18 inches difference. And then I always add in a little bit for engine movement. So that's the torque of the engine. Basically the driver's side, the left side of the engine is going to lift up. So I factor in about 1/4 inch movement on that, again, to be conservative. And I'm still at 1.43 inches of height difference with the Performer RPM. And even if we were to take the differences, relative from the pad height to points A and B, I'm still plenty good with that 2-inch clearance in the back. I still have over 1/2 inch difference. On top of this, you can get a drop base for your air cleaner. Mancini sells a drop base for the air cleaner, which will drop it an additional inch, approximately another inch. So then I'll be way good. It'll be, back to over 1 inch clearance easily. So yeah, looks like I could go with the Performer RPM with the dual plane instead of the single plane on the Torker 3D3 for a little bit of performance difference. But that's how you measure. That's how I measure hood clearance. Hopefully it helps.